A very good morning and welcome to everybody. This is Waking Up to Win with myself, Stuart. And today I've got the honor of giving all of you this amazing pre-launch experience. We touched base with this crowd a couple of months ago, but now we're at that point where the branding is correct. Everything is into alignment. We've even had somebody test it out. And we're going to be touching base with her a little bit later. Who am I talking about? What am I talking about? Well, I'd like to welcome our guests. These guests are from PropNow, both Jan and Felix on the call, and they've got something to share that is absolutely amazing. You've heard and you may have seen it. It's called iBid. Jan, give us a little bit of an intro to PropNow, because that's really what's behind iBid. So give us a quick little introduction of yourself so that people know who you are, and this is going to start to build us up into the actual product.
Stuart, thanks very much for the kind introduction and a warm welcome here also from our side. So my name is Jan. I'm the founder and CEO of PropNow. Together with me today is Felix. He's heading our sales and customer support. So he's the right-hand man who will hopefully help you guys to really a stellar start of iBid and support you on a day-to-day basis with his team. Quick background on PropNow. We go actually back over 10 years. Our background is really online auction and dynamic pricing technology. So what it means, basically, we started back in the online auction space. We digitized art auctions. We have done over 110,000 online sales. We still hold actually over 50 world record in terms of online prices. And what we're going to show you today is iBid is a very exciting digital offer management platform which enables you to fully digitize the price negotiation and offer management. And below that, there's a big technology platform. There's lots of auction-based thinking to really optimize in a given situation the pricing and the way basically people interact. So we're very happy and excited to present you today iBid. And let me actually, maybe Felix, you can add a few words and then we'll give you a little bit of background on the solution before we get into how's it working in practice. Felix, over to you.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, also from my side, welcome to everybody. I'm really happy that we are now here at the point that we can open up iBid and everything is up and ready. And we have made a very great experiences in other countries in Europe so far. And as Jan said, we are very experienced in online auctions. And also right now in the market situation, we have here a really good possibility to get a really market price from the crowd, from the attendees, from the interested buyers for you, and yeah, to make you more successful with iBid. So I'm really keen also to hear your questions and to hear also Monica later on.
Fantastic.
All right.
Thank you so much. Great. So I'm going to go, just got a quick thing.
Sorry.
Tell us and go into this whole iBid. Give us a little bit of an intro. Give us all those descriptions. Give us something that really helps us to understand exactly what it is. Over to you, Jan. Go for it.
Perfect. So EXP iBid, the brand, as Stuart said, has just recently been created and is now fully online. Very exciting. So before we start, what's really the whole thing about and where do we come from? Project was, we believe agents will not be replaced by technology, but very importantly, they will be replaced by agents with technology. In other words, we believe that those of you who will be the star performers of the future will be those that use technology in a very savvy and intelligent manner to really strengthen your position as a trustful advisor. And we see our role really as your partner in enabling you with that technology so you can do really what you're really best at, and that's really being a trustful advisor to your clients. So where did the whole journey actually start? We took a look at the entire offer and sales process, and what we discovered was there is actually a big problem. despite a successful closing, oftentimes there are unhappy customers in the end. And why is that? Because from the eyes of the customers, be it the seller or the buyer, there is a lack of transparency. For the seller side, I think you've seen the situation. There's always that sort of point, did I really get the best price? I'm not sure I will get the best price. There is a lot of uncertainty here. The problem is, for you as an agent, it's oftentimes very difficult to prove in a very factual manner that the seller actually did get the best price. Now we come into the buyer side. It's the flip story. Quick joy usually, well, I got the property, but then the famous buyer's remorse. Oh, I think I overpaid. Problem here as well for you as an agent, oftentimes we can't show in a very neutral and fact-based manner that the buyer actually paid a very fair market price. And then very interestingly, there's usually a few other bidders in the race, and oftentimes also very unhappy. Why? Because if they had really known what the final price was, they might have offered even more. So the whole problem here is that from the perspective of the clients, that entire process of price negotiation, offer management is really not transparent. And that was really our starting point. So we set out to really design a process that from the eyes of the customer is fully transparent and fair. And why is this relevant? Because transparency and fairness inspire trust. And if you have trust, you have a very different behavior. And that's exactly what we're going to show you today with the platform. So how does it actually work? So iBid essentially comes into the price negotiation and offer management part of the overall sales process. So you start your normal sale and acquisition with base negotiating with the sellers, then basically putting the property online, preparing all the marketing, doing the viewings, and also start pre-qualifying some of the prospect customers. Very important here also is iBid obviously is a tool that sets you apart. So it's something actually is extremely useful when you actually sign up new properties. It's something that really makes the big difference between yourself and some of the other competitors in the market. So basically, once you've got a property up and running, you've got your interested clients, you then basically start the iBid process. We're not going to do you a full demo today. That's for a separate time, probably next week. But essentially what it means is directly out of the rep system, you can invite your prospect customers. They can automatic invitation. They can see all the documentation of the property. They can then submit their offers, and in a fully transparent manner, they see all the other offers that have been submitted. And so essentially you're creating a very competitive battlefield. And this is the way you optimize the final sales price. Good news is the whole process is extremely easy, both for yourself to set it up, but also for the customers. Everything is online. You get a link. You just click on it. And so basically people because everything is fully transparent, have a lot of trust in the system. And at the end of the bidding period, which can run for a couple of days, maybe a week, you then have a clear and transparent view who are the highest offers, and then you basically discuss the results with the seller. And then once the seller has taken a decision, everyone is being informed, and then you basically move to the closing. Good news here is also, we come to the benefits also later again, it saves you an enormous amount of time. The thing is, it probably takes about 5 minutes to set up the whole process, but then the platform automatically basically generates offer letters for you. So there's no need to go back to your computer to fill in endless forms, correct them. You might not have the right data. Everything is done through the platform. So you have a lot of time you can basically use either to develop new business or to use that time to really create additional advice, provide additional advice to your existing clients, which obviously reflects in the end results. And also at the end, once the final buyer has been selected, the platform automatically generates the offer to purchase, the formal document with all the required data fields. So there's no need or no work for you left. It's basically everything is done through the platform, and you can really focus on what you're really best at, and there's really being a trustful advisor to your customers. Very good news. This is actually since a couple of weeks now. It's fully integrated in Rep. So when you're in your listings, in the listing details at the bottom, there is a new button being added now. It says go to Offer Hub, and that basically takes you straight into the iBid platform, and all the data is seamlessly linked, so there is no additional work for you required. Good news also is the whole thing works for every type of property and market situation. So the idea really is that we provide you a tool which you can use in your daily life for every single offer you have. It's very easy to use. So, and that obviously creates enormous efficiency. So there's an open process where basically all the offers placed are visibly to all the other participants. Obviously, names are always anonymized. And so it creates a very competitive environment. But there's maybe also market situations where it might not be very clear where the market price exactly stands. So you can do a sealed process. That means all the participants are hidden in the system and also the offers. So basically just testing out the market where sort of the price levels lie. And you also have a function where you can just send out individual offers. So if you have a property where there is maybe just this odd interested buyer once every couple of weeks, you simply send them a personal link and they can submit their offer anytime. So again, it's really tailored and built for you to use in any market situation and type of property. So what are the advantages? When we first set out and build a platform, we really focused only on customers, the sellers and the buyers, because we knew from our experience, let's say in the online auction world, you always get the best price in a dynamic price finding mechanism. There's a lot of empirical data on that. So we knew best market price for sellers is a big check. But interesting, what we also saw is we create much faster sales because the process is fully structured and there are clear deadlines. You can do much faster turnarounds of your properties. And that obviously is good news because it frees up time to do more business. Also very interesting is what we saw, that the market transparency we are creating gives the sellers additional trust. They really believe they now understand the market. There is an additional, let's say, neutral platform providing them all the insights and the data about the market. And so they're really in a position to take a fact-based sales decision and really stand behind it. So the famous sort of remorse saying, well, I'm not sure I got the best price. Usually the opposite, people love it because they really saw that they just got the best market price possible in a given situation. So sellers, big check, fantastic feedback as well. So coming to the buyers, here the story is slightly different because essentially the main benefit here is that we're creating a very convenient process, which is very trustworthy. So people basically have, using their mobile phone, directly access to all the property data. They can see if there are any offers placed already. And so that transparency in price negotiation, price finding is something that really inspires them and gives them confidence that they're really doing the right decision. And very important also, because everything is digital and dynamic, they've got a fair chance to really place their best offer right up to the last moment. So the famous remorse saying, well, if I had known the price, I would have offered more, simply doesn't exist. Everyone has the fair chance right up to the last second to really make and place their best offer. Security is another very important aspect. Oftentimes, it's online, not sure secure. We actually the only platform in Europe also which is fully banking compliant, because every offer is basically confirmed with an SMS code. So similar to online banking. So it's not just typing in a number or sending an email. There's really a double process here. And interesting, that creates additional level of confidence also for the buyers. And obviously communication is key. Everything is in real time, so people don't feel left out at any given point. They know exactly where they stand in the process and really can take their best decision. And last but not least, but it's a very important one, given the transparency we provide in the process, there is really no risk of overpaying, because everyone can really, depending on their personal preference, but also their possibilities in terms of financial means, really can place define and place their optimal purchase amount. And so in the end, what we see, all the winners are usually extremely happy because they know that just for a couple of thousand rands, sometimes they really got their dream property. But interestingly, they also know if they don't perform, there's a few thousand euros, a few thousand rands less, this next one right up there, ready to take the offer and buy the property. So really gives also additional security for the transaction to conclude. So that's the customer side. Then we flip to the agent side. We really didn't focus on the agents initially because we thought if the customers are happy, you're going to be happy anyway. What we saw is the more we use the platform, the longer the benefit, the list of benefits on the right-hand side gets. First of all, massive time saving on up to 50% because everything is really automated in the system. It really frees up time. And so you don't have to do the sort of this unwanted admin work in the back. Higher prices, we come to that in a second, means also more commissions for you, and faster sales again, creates more space to do more business. Because we create enormous amount of customer satisfaction, that again reflects into your business as well. We generate on average between 2 to 3 leads per sale, which goes to the platform, because people are so happy. They say, well, I might not have won, but I love the process. If I sell my property, it's going to be through you, through that process. So again, this obviously means you have a unique listing tool you can use, and it's easy to use, as we saw, because it's fully integrated in Rep, and there is actually no cost. So there is really only upside for you to use the new process. So before we conclude, does the whole process actually work? The answer is yes. So these are actually statistics from PropNow overall. We're operating now in 10 countries. We started in Northern Europe, and we've got our 7 languages also on the platform. So why does the whole process actually work that well? Because we create a very dynamic behavior. That's why I mentioned earlier, this whole notion of transparency and trust is important because it changes behavior. Each bidder who places an offer on the platform places on average 3.2 offers on a given property. That means if I place an offer, I increase my initial offer at least 2 times. And you already can see where this is leading. This is actually resulting in an average price increase of 18%. 18. The record actually stands at 200%. And good news, it works really across the full range of properties and prices, from low end 600,000 rand to over 300 million. So it really has proven to work extremely well. And now the key point, why this only really works online. We have a mechanism in place, which is only possible online. It means that if there's a last minute offer being placed, the system automatically extends the bidding period, and to give basically everyone a fair chance to also change their offer if required. That means our offers processes extend around 45 minutes on average, but during these 45 minutes, over 50% of all offers are being placed. That means 1 new offer every 6 minutes. 1 new offer every 6 minutes. And you can see where this is heading. This is simply not possible in a traditional offline sales process. And that's exactly the reason why this process generates on average much better sales results than you would ever achieve in a traditional sales process. Plus, there's all the other benefits we talked about. There's time saving, faster sale, and again, because of the transparency, a much higher customer satisfaction. So that was basically the background. As mentioned, we're going to have a few training sessions where we're really going to show how the platform works in detail over the next coming days and weeks. So warm welcome to join these. But now, very important, I hand back to Stuart and to Monica to actually get a real feedback how the solution works in practice.
No, fantastic. Jan, thank you so much for giving us a nice little introduction into the actual platform. So iBid, it's actually now part of Rep. So one thing that you do need to make sure of is you need to have an active listing. If you don't have any active listings, you're not going to see the little icon that's going to push it through to the hub. So you need to have that active listing. Now, something that I know is going through a lot of people's minds is, oh, this is auctions. This is only for auctions. Well, I'm going to share something with you. It's not. So why is it not only for auctions and it can be used in any kind of format? Well, that's why we've invited Monica. Monica How are you doing today?
Good morning, Stuart. I'm brilliant, thank you. Thanks for
No,
the opportunity to join you.
absolutely. So I'm pretty sure you started out because you're actually one of our first successful candidates that went through the iBid process and actually concluded with a sale. Now, let me start out and ask you this question. Was your property that you were putting on auction, was it a property that had to go to auction? It was in a horrific state. It just could not be sold. It was basically one of those properties that kind of needed to start out at a raw bottom 100,000 Rand and hope for the best. Was it one of those type of properties?
Not quite. It was it's dilapidated, if I can use that word. Unfortunately, it was a deceased estate. The property had been neglected. The previous owner was elderly, so the maintenance had been neglected over the years. So it wasn't in a great condition. But my process or the process I chose to follow was to make it open on a good price. So I listed it at a very good price to start off with, because I knew that there would be objections to the condition and the amount of money the property would need to actually get it to a livable standard. So this property is situated in Randburg, and it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, tiny little house actually, but it's freestanding home. I listed that under $1 million. I listed it at 950. So I knew that I would get a lot of interest because that's not readily available at under $1 million in Randburg. That was the starting point. So I did list the property at 950 on Rep.
Now, let me ask you this question before you go any further. If you did not go down the iBid platform, would you have listed at 950 and sold it for 950, or would you have received an offer that was lower than 950?
Unfortunately, because I am transparent, I believe in transparency, my advert was very clear and my photos absolutely backed up the fact that this property needed attention. So I had not hidden any of those facts from the get-go. What was happening is I would get someone phoning me saying, I'm interested in this property that you've got listed for 950. But from your photos, I wouldn't pay more than 500, or I wouldn't pay more than 600. And it was like, fair, I understand where you're coming from. But unfortunately, there's also a seller involved, in this case, an executor, and heirs to this estate that needs to be happy with that offer received, which obviously would not fly.
Absolutely. So going a typical traditional route, having a show day, not an option. Having something where you're bringing buyers through, that first impression would have been, well, we're listing at 950. We're in a negotiating country. Let's drop the price down to 500,000 and then let's work up from 500,000. But you decided to go the iBid route. What made you choose that as the option?
The biggest reason for me doing that was purely because in April last year, I had listed another deceased estate property. I used the same situation where I had listed it at an extremely good price in order to generate enough interest. I ended up having, so that was in fact over the Easter weekend, I'd made the mistake of going live with my ad on the Saturday afternoon. By Tuesday morning, I had 32 inquiries. I decided, okay, well, let's just fly this kite and see what happens. And I invited all 32 potential buyers to come and have a look at the property on the Wednesday between 4 and 6. Out of the 32, 23 buyers arrived. 13 wanted to make an offer. I sat for 3 days writing offers. And then, of course, you sit with a situation of, how much should I offer? What will get me the property? How much, should I go higher? Should I go lower? Can I start here? Can I start there? And it was a logistical nightmare to try and manage that entire situation. So just having the opportunity, having spent time on one of the sessions with Jan and Felix, and actually experiencing it, I thought, this is it. This is how I'm going to sell this property. Because even if there's fewer interest than on the previous one that I did, I don't have to sit and write these offers.
Exactly.
And the system can do it all for me. And that was my biggest reason for doing it on this property.
So there's the first validation. Jan said it's going to save an agent 50% of your time as an agent. Now, we know any supplier, we can pull a number out of our finger and 50% sounds great. Maybe Jan was thinking of putting it at 60% or 70% to make it sound even better. But we've actually validated for Monica to take that particular property, a couple of days, getting 32 inquiries in, then sitting down, setting up a show day, having 22 or 20 plus people coming through, then the next 3 days, taking those offers, writing those offers, negotiating, going backwards, forwards, left, right, and people really giving you a headache. That probably cost you nearly 2 weeks of your time if we start putting that over a timeline. And in that timeline, to sell one property. Now, if you could take back all that time, you could be working on a second, third, or fourth property at the same time. So you actually got to experience it firsthand. 2 weeks that you're not going to get back in your time. However, it did set you up for this property that you actually did load on. So now that we're at that point, you loaded that property. Tell us what happened when you actually went through the process.
So I started the whole process pretty much the same as the previous property. I saw that the minute the advert went live, there was a lot of inquiries coming in. I can't particularly remember how many. I wasn't counting. But what I did was the same thing, is I would schedule a viewing, a multiple viewing, as I like to call it. And I give the buyers an hour. I will be at the property from this time to this time. Feel free to join me. They would then arrive, go through the property, come back, ask questions. And the minute they would tell me, I want to make an offer, what's the best price? What should I offer? Then I would say, you know what? I've got this awesome new offer management system that I'm going to use for this purpose. And the benefit is that you can make your offer, it's digital, but you will also have the communication coming from the system to tell you whether or not your offer is the best offer, or whether an higher offer has been received after yours, and it does give you the opportunity to increase your offer. The smiles were going around their faces. It was, yes, all I want to know is that if my offer isn't good enough, can I increase my offer? That was the first question all of them asked. And I was so comfortable to say, absolutely yes. This system allows you to increase your offer to whatever amount you feel comfortable with, knowing where you stand in the offer process. And it was as simple as inviting them on the iBid system. It sends them an email, they click on it, and it literally opens it up for them, where they don't need to register for anything. They don't need to download anything. It simply logs them in straight onto the system. And they could do their offer and see everything as it was happening live. The feedback from the buyers was just amazing. They truly loved the opportunity where they could at least consider increasing their offer if they wanted to.
No, fantastic. Well, think of a traditional method. If you got 10 people that were interested in putting an offer, that means it's 10 sets of paperwork that we've got to go through because of the laws of the country, which is a lot of printing. That's a lot of pen work.
Plus,
and then it's to get them to come back and say, well, I want a counter offer, which means now we put a little line through. We got everybody to initial, which is your time to drive backwards and forwards to get everybody to sign it, get that amount, go back, present it again to the seller, and then find there's another one. So you're doing the process over again. Then you're getting to a point where that same particular buyer, and as Jan has said, you're normally going to increase it by 2 times, which means you're going to get to a really scrappy piece of paper for your offer to purchase. That is looking messy. So this has actually saved you even more time and also money, because you'd have to be printing all those offers and all that paperwork all the time. So now the question I want to ask, reflecting back on that first property that cost you nearly 2 weeks of your time, what did you list it for, and what did you finally sell that particular property for? And bearing in mind, it took you nearly 2 weeks to do it.
So on that property, I listed at 1.1 million and I sold at 1.15 million. So
Okay.
I only increased by 50,000.
Well, that's a phenomenal job. I mean, to go back to your seller and actually get an offer over asking price, kudos to you. That was absolutely amazing. And I'm pretty sure that this particular property that you're speaking about now, you listed at 950. So I'm pretty sure you closed also just over asking price and made another 50,000 Rand. Am I right?
No.
So before you share that final amount that you went up to, how many offers and how many buyers were you working with on this particular property?
So I had 25 people that I'd invited on the iBid system. They all received their invite and they came into the system. The nice thing is it actually shows you whether they're in the process of making an offer. So I could actually see who is participating and who isn't. At the end of the day, it came down to 3 buyers that were actively participating. So I think 5 submitted an offer to start off with, but then 3 were actively increasing their offers on the property.
No, fantastic. And that must have been a lot of fun for you, because now you receive notifications going, somebody is active, somebody's put in an offer, somebody has counter offered. Tell me about that emotional experience you were going through compared to the previous time of 2 weeks, taking an offer and someone saying, I want to increase, and you thinking, oh, I've got to redo the paperwork again. Tell me that emotion that you felt when you started getting these notifications that it was just going up and you hadn't actually started putting pen to paper yet.
It was so exciting, because actually what happens is when you're the agent on the system, you can actually see on the screen all the invites. You can see who's participating, who's in progress, and who's submitted and how much they have submitted. And obviously, when you set up the entire system, which is what Jan and Felix will still do training on, is you set the time period for those bids to happen. And it's amazing. I literally had my screen open for the last 15 minutes of the time period that I had set. And earlier in the afternoon, one of the active buyers phoned me and said, what time does the bidding close? And I said, at 6 p.m. He said, shucks, okay, well, I'll be ready. And literally, I think it was 5:45 about, they started chasing each other. And out of all of them, there were 2 buyers chasing each other and increasing their offers one after the other. And with the system, each time a new offer comes in those last couple of minutes, it reopens another 15 minutes to afford the other people the opportunity to also increase it, should they wish to do so. So I was sitting there watching them just go up and up and up and up. And I shared the link. You can share the link with your seller as well, and they can also see it. Obviously, they don't see the names of the participants. They'll see buyer 1, buyer 2, buyer 3. I can see who it actually is, but they can see this process live as well. And I invited the heir in this deceased estate. It was only the one, and she was like, oh my word, Monica, it's like, I can't believe it. What's going on? Just look at this. So she was over the moon, and the excitement was just electric, actually. And I was sitting here alone watching it, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. So, yes, it's absolutely mind-boggling. And I could sit and watch. I didn't need to lift a finger. It was brilliant.
Absolutely. Now, we say that real estate is all about emotions. And typically speaking, it's the wrong type of emotions. It's that emotion of stress and anxiety of selling and buying and all of these type of things. Yet, in this particular case, yeah, we've got the agent, Monica. Yes, we've got the heir getting so excited going through it. But let me share something with you as well. When you get into a buying mode, the emotion gets into yourself. And I know this is kind of something that could be saying, hey, but Stuart, you're actually getting into the buyer's emotion. But when you get excited that you really want something, you will pay for it because you want it. And that's exactly what was going through this process. They put in a particular offer just before the closing time, increased by 15 minutes, gives them that anxiety that they don't have that particular property. But also bearing in mind, they're in full control. There's nobody sitting there saying, you have to bid, you have to go ahead. This is actually going through this particular process. Now, Monica, now you can share with all of us. We started at 950,000. Now, the previous property, you made a 50,000 over asking price, which we know is absolutely phenomenal. Here you started at 950. What was the closing price on this property?
What I want to do is I want to go one step back. So when I set up this particular one, I actually started offers, allowed them to start their offers from 800,000 so that they felt that there was a chance to make a lower offer and like test the waters. So we started at 800. We got an offer for 800. We got an offer for 825. We got an offer for 865. And then in those last few minutes, two of those buyers started to increase their offers. Each one would increase, they'd get their notification, and then they would have the opportunity to increase. We closed off on
Wait for it, guys. Wait for it, guys. Wait for this. This is the big announcement. It is 100,000 Rand. Of course, that's what we ended off. We ended on what was the final number?
1.2 million.
Absolutely phenomenal. So let's just put this into perspective for you to understand. We listed at 950,000. Monica allowed a typical South African negotiation to drop below so that we can start those bids at 800,000, and they started to go. Now, this is what would have happened in a typical environment. Monica would have spent 2 weeks going through those offers. First offer of 800, hit an 825, got up to 850, maybe an 865, really thinking this is getting great, but she would have run out of energy. She would have actually got, you know what, can I go on and on and on to carry on with this particular process, exhausting her, taken a 960 or an 860 offer, maybe got someone up to 900, supplied it through to the actual seller because she's exhausted and closed on there. No, through this process, she actually got into the excitement. She allowed that run and then got to say that number again.
1.2 million.
1.2 million for the property. Now, if mathematics holds me correct, that must be what, like a 45% increase or over asking price on all of that. I can see Felix's mind is busy tapping and going through the calculator there to make sure my numbers are almost correct. He's given me the correct. There we go. I've got that German stamp of approval. Thank you very much on that one there. I bet that he used a Japanese calculator. So we've actually gone through this process, 950 listed, dropped down to 800, gone through that process. Now, when you were sitting at that 860 mark, were you feeling a little bit like disappointed, knowing that where you're at 660, or could you still see it's going to start climbing?
I was hopeful for the sake of the seller and the heir in this instance, because obviously I had communicated those offers to her and she was a bit disappointed. It's like, oh, shucks, you really mean I'm going to have to like settle on that kind of figure? And I said, look, the system's still open. We don't know what happens next. Let's just go with it. And in the meantime, obviously, I was continuing to do the viewings, and each one who wanted to participate was invited into the same system.
Fantastic, fantastic. So you didn't stop.
No.
You carried on doing your duty, which is
Yes.
absolutely phenomenal. And that resulted in a 1.2 million rand close. Now, let's look at our clients. The seller, were they satisfied with 1.2 million?
Oh, absolutely. She was over the moon. She was sending me voice notes with that very high-pitched voice. In fact, I shared it with Harvey, and I said, just listen to this girl. She is so super excited. She loved being the guinea pig because I told her, well, you know, this is the first time I'm using the system, and I hope it's going to work. I'm sure it will, but let's see. And she said, well, she's in it. She's whatever it takes. If I think it can work, she's game. So I was comfortable in the knowledge that I was certain it would work. I didn't know that it would work this well, though.
Fantastic. So tick number one, seller happy. Your buyer, did they feel like, I've overpaid for this property? Did they have any buyer's remorse at all?
He was a little shocked, I think, by his excitement levels as well, I must be honest. But he said, I want it. And he actually jumped. The previous offer before that was 1,048,000. And he said, well, stuff this. I'm not playing this game. I'm just going to go in at 1.2. You know, now they've got to beat that if they really want it. And that's what he did. So, and he was comfortable. He said to me, I think I paid a little more than I wanted to, but I want it. So I'm happy. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And just loving I think the biggest thing was that they were given the opportunity to increase their offer. To me, that was probably the best thing for the buyers, is that they do have that opportunity. Because in general, I don't particularly like putting pressure on a buyer to increase their offer by saying that I've got a better offer, especially when agents are doing that just to increase offers, but without having something physical to show for it, where in this system, the buyer could see for himself there's a better offer on the table and then make his decision whether or not to increase his offer. So generally, to me, that was just an absolute win-win. The transparency for the buyer, I think, is just next level. They loved it.
Absolutely. So there we've got a win for the seller. We've got a win for the buyer. And in my coaching, I always say that there's actually 3 wins in a real estate game. There's a buyer, there's a seller, and then there's the agent. And for yourself, you moved that deal from 950 to 1.2% of the commission, which meant you earned more commission on that. So the agent became a win. And again, that's validating what Jan actually shared with us is the agent will actually earn more commission because we're getting those prices up. Monica, I want to thank you so much for your time. I can see the chat box is absolutely blowing up there with comments and questions and everything. And before I go on to that, Jan, from yourself, here you've heard the very first testimonial from one of our agents here in South Africa. I'm pretty sure you've heard the same from other agents in different countries. Could you confirm that?
Yes, it's very interesting because the journey always starts the same way. There is enormous, the first answer usually from agents is, oh, this doesn't work. So why doesn't it work? No, it doesn't work for the property. It doesn't work in the market. No, it doesn't work. And then you basically get people comfortable with the system. You're maybe doing a lot of training, obviously. And then Monica's story is actually almost the same we see in most countries. Actually, it's pretty much, if you use the, let's say 950, to the average numbers we're getting. So it's exactly what we're seeing. And so this actually proves every single time these are not sort of statistics that are based on some complete outliers, but they're really, bear in mind the 18% I shared earlier with you on price increase, this across 6,000 properties. And so it's obviously every time again wonderful for us to see, you know, it also works there, and the excitement, basically what Monica shared, and hopefully it inspires a lot of the others in the call to really test it out, right? Because yes, there might be one property where it doesn't work, but to be honest, the other 8 or 9, it works perfectly well. And I think for me, the key point is if the customers are happy, you're going to be happy, because in essence, It's word of mouth. They generate leads. They're all potential sellers oftentimes. And so independent on the other benefits you receive in terms of efficiency, happy customers strengthen your position, and this is a long-term win for you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for Jan. And so this is something that is actually, it's become global. This is a platform that definitely works. So something that I can share with you, having dealt with agents across the world, there's a number that actually comes out. And this particular statistic is for every 4 properties that you actually have listed, generally you sell one of them. So 25% of your listings generally sells. That's why we always say that you need to get those 4 listings every single month. And this is an additional tool. Will it work on every single property? Well, think of your normal listings. Only 25% of them actually sell. But this is a tool to help you to elevate that 25% to maybe 50, 60, 75% to help you go through that particular process. Now, a big question that's coming out is, right, so we've got all of this. How much does it cost? How do we? Well, the great thing is, guys, this is actually free. It's all part of the EXP Cloud monthly fee. You don't pay anything else for it. It's all incumbent into that cloud fee. It's incorporated into Rep as long as your listings are active. That is the key crucial part of it, because if your listing is not active, it can't pull through an inactive detail through to the actual iBid platform. So your listing must be active and then it goes through. But Stuart, how do I actually work on it? Well, what we're going to be doing is look out in the calendars, because next week, as Jan intimated, we're going to be doing a training session that will be hosted by the guys from PropNow to take you through that process, to show you exactly how to do what you need to do. So we'll be setting up that particular time. Look out for it in the calendars so that you can actually join into that session and learn how to do it. And if we have to, we will extend this into multiple sessions so that you get the full benefit of this. We'll extend this through to a Q&A session as well so that you can ask those particular questions. So I'm going to now be opening up the actual chat box and the actual microphone. So give me a half a second there. There we go. And I want to go through looking out there. First one, Elijah, I see your hand is up. You can actually turn on your microphone and you can ask your question. I know it did come back or come on a little bit into the actual session, so the question may have already been answered, but I thought I'd go through that. Elijah, any question from yourself? I'm going to move on to the next person. So Jeremy, you were the next one that was up. What was your question? Go for it.
Hi, Stuart. First and foremost, thank you for this session. This sounds like a really, really awesome product. Part of my question was answered when you spoke about the cost. That was my first question or thought. How much will it cost? So I understand it's included now. My other question was, how active is it in South Africa specifically? And does it already operate and exist as a service for other agents, for even sellers directly? Yes, tell me a little bit about the activity and accessibility in South Africa.
Well, one thing I can share, that this is called EXP iBid. So this is actually, the iBid is our particular platform that is obviously branded with ourselves, that we will then take control to make sure. So all the documentation, the offer to purchases is our offer to purchases. So it's our details that goes through there. But Jan, maybe you can answer it. Are there any other companies in South Africa using your platform?
So Jeremy, good news for you. EXP is really our global launch partner for this. And you are the only ones who are operating in this in the market. So really take advantage of it. I think it's a great listing tool, and really leverage that advantage you have in the market.
That's excellent news. Thank you very much, guys.
So this can become part of your value offering through to your clients. Understand how it actually works through. Use Monica as the testimonial reference, and we can get all those details. There is a publication that Sia will be putting together, giving you more information about what that transaction looked like from start to finish, so that you can use that as that particular testimonial when you're going through to your particular clients. So very, very important. Right.
Stuart?
Yes.
Sorry, I just want to mention one little thing which I think is quite important, is at the end, when that bidding process actually closes, the system automatically generates a summary, and you can export that into PDF and share that with your seller, which is then, in this case especially, it was very useful for me because it actually then generates the last, or all of the actual offers. So the person's last offer or best offer, it then generates the digital offer together with the summary. It's completely transparent, and that is what I sent through to the executor. So the executor could see where the offers started, how they were increased. It's time-stamped, everything, and then she gets the final digital offers, which she then could consider and come back and say, we will accept this offer. And all of that can happen with a click of a button. So you don't need to do any of the paperwork. You download that, you send that to your seller. And your seller also has full transparency of what happened and when, down to the last second, and can then see, okay, this offer is good. That one might have a condition, whatever the case may be, but it does all of that for you.
Fantastic. And just to add on to that, remember, the laws of South Africa, when it comes through to signing of offers, still remains. It has to be signed with wet ink. So you can't have somebody doing a digital signature and dropping it onto the actual document itself. The system just puts together that offer to purchase, everything together for you, so that you can actually have that printed and have them to actually sign. Please don't give those digital signatures onto it. It's going to give Harvey an absolute nightmare to cover on those ones there. Right, let's go into Shifa. You've got your hand up. Go for it. Now, Shifa, you still there?
Sorry, the answer, I did have the answer for the one of the people, so it's fine. Thanks so much.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Right, let's jump onto yourself. Linda. Is it Linda or is it someone inside your office? Go for it.
It's both. It's me asking the question, but there are other people in the office who have all been watching it as well. So it's great. So I know that this is EXP iBid. My question is it a temporary exclusive, and is this going to be offered by PropNow to other companies within South Africa, or are they aligning themselves only to EXP?
So it's a great question. Over to yourself, Jan. I know it's putting you on the spot. And one thing we must appreciate, Jan is running his profitable business. So we do have that iBid exclusive. That's why we did push for the branding. But Jan, to answer that question,
Yes,
would you be considering...
So what we build is generally fully customized versions. That's why it's also our our brand really doesn't appear. It's your brand. So it's a fully customized platform developed for EXP, and that remains so. PropNow overall, obviously, is a base platform that exists because we're operating 10 countries. So at some point, there will be potentially another platform, but our focus is more on actually venturing into new countries. So for foreseeable future, you will have also a territorial advantage, definitely in South Africa. And whatever it is, iBid will remain innovation-wise the best platform in the market. That's our commitment to you.
Fantastic, fantastic. Linda, hopefully that answered your question. Any other questions from your office?
Yes. So how is the commission? How does the commission to PropNow work? How do they get paid? You know, like we know how it works on a normal auction. How does it work on this auction?
So my understanding, and I think the best person, Harvey, I want to bring you into this particular answer because I know that you've done all the negotiations and stuff like this. So as far as the commissions on these particular deals, this is EXP. We have and my understanding is a subscription agreement with PropNow. Harvey, can you confirm or deny that?
I can confirm that. So we've got an agreement with PropNow, and so they benefit from the commission that we as EXP South Africa gets. So our part. So yeah, so we've got an arrangement with them on that. So yeah,
Perfect.
that is it.
Perfect. So that means you are not losing your commission. And that's why I wanted to get it from Harvey, because he's the one that he can say it and he knows all the facts that'll come through from
So
there.
sorry, the seller is also not paying anything additional other than our commission.
No, remember, this is not like an auction type of transaction where it's a price and then there's over the top. Think of it as a standard sale agreement. And all that's happening is through that sale agreement of getting those offers, it's digitally going through the offer process until one is finally accepted, and then the offer is actually presented. So just like Monica had that first sale, whereby she went backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards, all that iBid did is takes out that backwards and forwards and made it into a digital process so that you can actually bid on the actual property itself. Not in an auction type of scenario where you've got someone standing up in the front and really hitting it at that high-paced voice, but this is actually going through and people actually doing that backwards and forwards digitally to save you time. Once the actual offer to purchase is produced, it's like a normal sale. Everything falls into the same thing. The commission that's been negotiated, that actually will go into it. The seller pays their commission exactly the same as a normal transaction. Right. Linda, hopefully that answered all of your questions. I want to jump into Chantel. You've got your hand up. Go for it. Chantel, you can turn on your microphone and you can say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. She's leaving us hanging. Oh my gosh, she's leaving us hanging. We'll come back to Chantel. Jumping into the actual chat box.
Hello, can you hear me?
There we go. I told you it would be a triplicate hello.
Sorry. Yeah, morning, everybody. This is very exciting. Stuart, you sort of touched on my question. I'm wanting to know, okay, in a traditional auction model, there's a reserve. So yes, there's no reserve price here. So we can start low, and if we don't get the price our seller is wanting, they don't have to accept an offer. Fantastic. Fantastic.
So the seller does not have to accept. Plus, there are some additional features which will come through into the actual training. Let's say, for instance, you get two offers and one is slightly higher, but it has a few conditions associated it. And the offer that's slightly lower is a full cash offer. Right. The seller does have the option to say they would like to accept the lower offer. Remember, the seller is in full control of accepting. They're the ones to say, I accept this particular offer, and I don't accept that particular offer. As soon as the seller accepts it, the paperwork is drafted, and all of the people that have been bidding, they will be notified that they were not the actual winners of the bid. And it's not going to disclose that they could have offered more or less, but ultimately it's the seller that has the final say.
Okay, thank you. Then my second question is does it work the same as the offers we work with now with regards to suspensive conditions? So the offers are all accepted and the seller can accept 4 based on the suspensive conditions, and then whichever one works is the one that progresses. Is that it?
No, so they will accept one offer because that will go through the system. That'll be the winning offer on that particular bid. If that particular client does not get a bond, for instance, yes, then you've got the second offers, and that will then fall into a backup offer, and you would go through that particular process. Remember, in South Africa, we can't go and accept 4 offers because that's going to go against anybody. We accept the offer, and we go through those particular suspensive conditions.
So we can't accept the second or the third or the fourth as backup offers. We have to just accept the one and then wait to see how that one plays out. Is that right?
So I'm going to offer to Jan to answer that question. It's a very good question.
Yes.
How's the process?
So basically the way this works, if the bidding period closes, you supposedly, let's say you have 10 offers on the table, you can then select the winning offer, and you can decide which of the remaining 9 offers you reject. And so the normal process is, let's say you select 1 as a winner and you reject, let's say 7 as non-applicable, but you keep 2 in your back pocket as alternative offers. So that's the way the system works. So you can then flexibly go back as you would normally do in your normal negotiations. If the first one falls through, it goes to a second one because you haven't rejected that offer. That's the way it works.
There we go.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jan. Can I ask one more question?
Absolutely.
So in terms of saying the bidding is now closed, how do you gauge when the right time for that is? Because if you're getting offers and the offers are coming in and now you've got 3, do you close it then, or do you just trust that the system will extend it every time it gets a better offer, and when it's not no longer getting a better offer? If you can just discuss that for me, please.
So the standard process is you define the start date and time and the end date and time, as Monica explained. And let's suppose it finishes at 6 p.m. on Sunday, but if in the last 15 minutes before the end another offer comes in, from the point of the last offer, you extend the bidding period by 15 minutes. And so in Monica's case, for example, it got repeated several times. So the idea is if there are last minute bids, bidding period extend by 15 minutes to protect everyone else, to ensure they've got a fair chance to react to that offer. And that continues as long as there are last minute bids coming in. The moment 15 minutes, there are no more bids coming in 15 minutes, the system closes automatically. So that you don't have to worry about it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Perfect. Basically, it becomes a living system. As somebody puts in an offer, it starts to breathe. It's like giving it food. It starts having that energy, and it only lasts for 15 minutes. If it doesn't get any food, it then says, I'm going to sleep. So that's in essence, and that's where it closes. Right. Thank you so much for those questions, Chantel. Great questions. Sue, I see your hand has gone up. Give us a hello and good morning.
Hi, good morning, everybody. This sounds absolutely great. I'm very excited. I just want to find out if you wouldn't necessarily use iBid together with the traditional taking of offers. So if you're sitting on a show day, you know, somebody might put in an offer to purchase and they wouldn't have access to the iBid. So it would be a bit unfair.
So what you can do is if you're sitting on a particular show day, and this is something I've had personally, sitting on a show day, I had 34 families coming through the show day. At the show day, I took 3 offers, and it becomes a little bit of a non-professional because I had to go sit to one side, take the offer, explain everything to them, and have the other 2 clients standing waiting while I'm taking an offer, then go through to the next one and take the offer. What you could do, and bearing in mind, we have everything integrated on your phone, you'd be able to set all this up prior to say, hey, I actually want to make this an iBid. So if I do have a number of people coming through and they do show interest, say, well, perfect. Here's the actual link. You invite them, get everything connected through. You could actually just do a verbal explanation. You're going to go through the process, putting in your details so we know everything is validated and correct. And they can actually go through, giving you the time to speak to other buyers that are coming through your show day. So you can incorporate that 100% absolutely. If you're having a show day and only one person comes through and you've not had any interest and that person is of interest, well, then you can just take your typical paper because you will have that with you in your show day pack, write out that particular offer, get them to stamp and sign, and away you go. This is creating more of an awareness and creating more of I want this property. And that's exactly what we do in the behind the scenes. So
It's
yes,
good just to add one thing. So what you can also do is if you have, let's say, offline offers, you can then upload them into the system. So the way the system is built, you can basically feed in offers also through other channels. Yeah. And that way you basically create a fully transparent view in the end where you then have a more, let's say, competitive and dynamic pricing. Yeah. But I think as Stuart mentioned, what we see, what works really well, if there's a clear process, people understand if you basically get a link in the evening and you can start bidding by the next day, that actually gives confidence that there is a structured process in place.
Okay, thank you. That makes sense.
Absolutely. And I actually wish I did have this back when I did have those people coming through the property, because I'm pretty sure I would have got way over the asking price on that property. Even though I did get over asking price, but only by 50,000, I think I would have got probably about 200,000 or 300,000 over asking price on that particular property, and saving me time as well at going backwards and forwards. Guys, I want to thank all of you for coming on this call. Come on, there's got to be one or more questions or comments from everybody? I know there's a lot that's gone into the chat box. I want to thank Monica, Felix, and Harvey for actually responding to those particular questions inside. If there are any other questions, yes, Jeremy, go for it.
Thanks, Stuart. A question for Monica. I just want to make sure my understanding is correct. Monica, when you listed your property or one of your properties initially, you listed it using the normal platforms, I presume, which pulled through Property 24, Private Property, etc. Did you make mention in those ads that this might follow a bidding process? Was there any indication in your initial advert?
No. So I loaded the property as per the mandate, like normal. Nothing funny, nothing strange. I mentioned it's a deceased estate, it's an urgent sale, all of those typical things that we would do. And then just based on the amount of inquiries I received, I decided this is the way I'm going to handle this. And what I did was at the viewings, I then would explain to them, I'm using this system, and if you want to make an offer, I will send you an invite. By doing that, they're expecting that email from me and they're comfortable to click the button, because that's the next thing. People don't want to click on any links. So it says you're invited to participate or to make your offer with regards to this property. Click on the link to go into the system. So I've already prepared them by saying, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to use this system. At that stage, the branding wasn't in place yet. So I just referred to it as my offer management system. And I said, this is how I will be managing the offers that I'm receiving, because there's a lot of interest. And they were all very happy, because obviously the first question is, if there's another offer and it's better than mine, can I increase my offer because I really want it? So they liked the opportunity, but I hadn't mentioned that anywhere, not in my ads or anything. I purely told them at the time. And because I did multiple viewings, like a show house where there's 6 or 7 people standing around at the same time, they all knew there's other people interested. So it's like they've got this excitement going, like, oh, there's so many other people, I must make my offer. So now they could know, okay, I'm going to get an email, I'm going to click on the link, I'm going to submit my offer, and then I'm going to be told whether my offer is good enough or not. And if not, I can still have the opportunity to increase my offer if I want to. So they were all very comfortable with doing it that way. I didn't have one person object to that.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Monica. Much appreciated.
Excellent question. Thank you, Jeremy. Right, Magda, I see your hand popped up. Go for it. Give us the Adele song. Hello.
I wish I could, but you will all run away. Just a question. Does this platform apply only to your exclusive or sole mandates, or also open mandates?
You have the mandate, it's listed on the property, so it could be, wait for it, let's go through the numbers. So you got a mandate, sole and exclusive mandate, open mandate, dual mandate, joint mandates. You pick the mandate, you have an active listing. That is the only condition that we're working with.
All right, thank you.
And in fact, you know what, Magda, this was my head going through this. If I actually took on an open mandate and there were 10 other agents working on that property, what I would actually do is I would take that property and I would put it through the iBid process. And then I would actually go out and actually start to market that through to particular buyers to create that interest on that property, because I could add into it, bearing in mind that there could be another offer coming in from somebody else, which will create that excitement, and maybe you can close on that offer in a shorter time period. So you can use it to your advantage.
Okay, thanks, Stuart.
Always a pleasure. Fantastic. Right, Louise. I'm sure your Adele voice is sounding fantastic today.
Oh my goodness, Stuart. No, let's not go there. Quickly. So if you're on the two buyers bidding, they obviously can't see the value of the bid that's higher than theirs.
So let me get that to Jan. This is my mind going through there. Can the other buyers see the other buyer's amount?
Yes, so basically you've got different bidding options. There's a lot of flexibility. We're going to show this in the training next week. But in the traditional open bidding, all the participants who have been invited can see all the other offers, names obviously anonymized. So it's a fully transparent view, because that creates the trust that people really feel that's the real game. Yeah. And Monica can probably confirm that.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's going to create a whole different way of selling property, I think. I like it very much. Yeah.
I think the key word here is called transparency. Transparency is really what it is. Transparency for the buyers, transparency for the sellers, and transparency from the agent, so that we're not actually covering up. This is going to give us a high level of credibility, as well as transparency gives you integrity. So this is what you can actually pull all together to help you through your journey to sell those properties as quick as possible. So any other final thoughts, comments, or questions from anybody on our session before we get up to the closing point? Seems like we've made the room an absolute quiet space, which is absolutely fantastic. Monica, any final thoughts or comments from yourself?
I just want to thank Jan and Felix and PropNow, because I think it's going to be an absolute game changer. It gives us so much flexibility in servicing our clients, and with that additional transparency that it gives you just by using the system, you don't need to do much. My clients loved it, and that's going for the seller, the buyers. Everybody bought into it straight away. They loved it. I love it. So I'm just very grateful, and thank you to EXP for making it available to us, because I think this is going to be next level.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Felix, from yourself, any final thoughts or comments from your side?
No, really
He's
not.
speechless.
I'm very excited to hear every time the feedback from the people which are using us for the first time, because as Jan said, it's in a way of always the same story. So I was a little bit thinking, should I? And then they have done it, and afterwards they will never stop with that. So I'm really keen to see the first processes, and I'm always here to help if someone needs support, or if someone wants to talk about a specific object or has questions or anything. I think we will solve many of them next week in the training, but if you have questions, I'm here to help.
Fantastic. Now, that was a truly humble response coming from a supplier. Thank you so much, Felix. And from yourself, Jan, thank you so much for your time explaining, introducing, and going through. Any final thoughts or comments from yourself?
Thank you, everyone, Stuart, for the wonderful moderation, and for all the participants and great questions. I just want to echo what Felix said. So we're really here to help you, and we want to make you successful. That's our vision. And anything you have, just a quick email, phone call. We're happy to help you here.
Fantastic. An absolute honor to have Monica, Felix, and Jan on this particular session today. This has been Waking Up to Win with myself, Stuart, giving you a pre-launch to the iBid platform. I'm wishing all of you a fantastic journey ahead using our new tool to help you to get those properties with offers above asking price. From myself, Stuart, I've only got one final comment. Remember, the future of your real estate, it starts right now by moving those active listings into the hub, into iBid. You guys have a fantastic day and week ahead. Thanks for joining. Cheers for now.